Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the latest episode of N1 from the End Zone. Please click on that subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops. Now, without further ado, let's kick it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Niners Talk on N1 from the End Zone with your host, the king himself, NP motherfucking V. Let's kick it. Nick Sorensen was hired to be the 49ers defensive coordinator. He has been on the San Francisco defensive staff since 2022 when he was hired as a defensive assistant. That same year, DeMeco Ryan was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers defense, who ranked number 1 overall in the NFL. Prior to joining the 49ers, he had a brief stint in Jacksonville where he coached special teams, and also prior to that, coached the Seattle Seahawks secondary from 2017 to 2020. In 2020, he became the Seattle's nickel specialist, helping cornerback Shaquille Griffin earn his first Pro Bowl. And in 2017, coached the Seahawks secondary to only allow 209.2 passing yards per game. That year, they ranked 6th in the NFL in passing yards allowed. Sorensen began his coaching career in 2012 after playing 10 years in the NFL for multiple franchises as a safety and a special teams player. He was a special teams assistant in 2013 when the Seattle Seahawks won their Super Bowl. He has a combined 21 years of NFL experience as both a player and coach. Guys, to be completely honest with you, when Nick Sorensen got hired, I had to do a little bit more research and a little bit more of a dive in to see what my guy Nick Sorensen was about and what was he like. And to be honest with you, when they hired him, I didn't know whether to be ecstatic or to be hesitant. I personally wanted them to hire Mike Vrabel. I thought they were still working out something between Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick. I thought they were doing something behind the scenes where they didn't necessarily have to interview. They would just get the job, and I would have been excited for that. But then that didn't happen, and we hired Nick Sorensen. When I started doing my research and I started to read more about Nick Sorensen, finding out where he had coached, his playing experience, uh, also the fact that on multiple teams that he's been part of their special teams program. There have been a numerous amount of punt returns, kick returns. I think 3 or 4 in his career, in his coaching career, while he's been a special team specialist. And to be completely honest with you, he was a part of the San Francisco team when we had the number 1 defense under DeMeco Ryan. What we are missing is energy. I wanted Mike Vrabel because I feel like Mike Vrabel's energy would help us lift our defense up, because that's something I felt we were missing under Steve Wilkes last year. Sorensen, maybe he has the right defensive, or maybe he has that energy that we're missing. But the reason why I like Sorensen is because he's been around elite defenses. He knows we've had issues with the secondary, and that's his area of expertise, essentially. He played safety. He saw our secondary last year under Steve Wilkes. Our cornerbacks were actually pretty decent. I actually thought our secondary was better than they had been in years before. And with Nick Sorensen as the defensive coordinator, I could see our secondary maintaining that level of character in the upcoming year, and our defensive line, our front seven, stepping it up. I think we have the right fit. He was there when DeMeco was there. He's been there for 3 years. He knows the culture. He knows the system. We're going back, essentially. We're going back and forward at the same time. Hopefully our defensive line can go back to being what it was the year prior, and our secondary can be better, like it can be better than they were this year, because they weren't as bad. And we're also getting Hoof back. He's dealt with Earl Thomas. He's dealt with, I think, Cam Chancellor. he knows how to deal. He's coached Tyler Lockett. He knows how to deal with personalities and characters. So I am very excited for Nick Sorensen to be our defensive coordinator. I think our defense is going to take a step up. We're going to go back to what we were, hopefully, with D'Amico Ryan, and our secondary is still going to be elite because he's going to use some of the influence, I believe, that Steve Wilkes left behind, because our secondary last year took a step forward. So Nick Sorensen, I'm excited to see him as the defensive coordinator for this San Francisco 49ers team next year, and hopefully help us win a Super Bowl. Guys, you're watching a Shady Mob production. Make sure to follow the Shady Mob podcast, where we break down all the latest content and talk about life. Please make sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified when the latest content drops. Nick Sorensen's going to be that guy, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on to my other guy right here, Mr. Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley joins the San Francisco coaching staff as the new assistant head coach after Anthony Lynn left the role to become the running game coordinator and running backs coach for the Washington Commanders. Staley spent 3 years as the Chargers head coach, helping them reach the playoffs and finishing with a 10-7 record in his second year as head coach. Prior to joining the Chargers, he spent 1 year as a DC for the LA Rams, where he helped them lead the league in total points and yards allowed, and was also the outside linebackers coach for the Broncos in 2019 and Bears in 2017 and 18. Prior to the NFL, he had spent 10 years coaching in college in a numerous amount of defensive coaching roles. Guys, Brandon Staley, when I heard he was hired, or when I heard he was being interviewed for the defensive coordinator position, I was not ecstatic. I was worried. I did not think he was the right fit. Part of the reason why I think he had success with the Rams the 1 year he was their defensive coordinator, was because it was still essentially Wade Phillips guys, some of Wade Phillips systems, and he literally just gave a new perspective, a new mindset to it. And he was a very hot candidate just after that 1 year of success. He didn't necessarily have a second year to prove that that defense was legit, or that that defense was him. He got hired to be the head coach of the Chargers the following year. With the Chargers, he was very, I'll be honest, like, he was very disappointing with the talent that he had, the weapons, because we're not gonna act like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jason or Jordan, I think either Jason or Jordan Palmer, they're the other wide receiver that they have, Austin Eckler. Those guys are talented. That is elite talent, and they should have done more. They should have done way more, especially if you got Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on the other side. I think you also have Derwin James. They have a lot of they have a lot of names and a lot of players that I personally believe have had their potential wasted with the sublime coaching that they've had from Brandon Staley. And him coming to the Niners, I feel like it's good for his career. And I think it's also funny because uh Brandon Staley replaced Anthony Lynn on the Chargers, and now he's replacing Anthony Lynn on the 49ers. He's the assistant head coach, so he's going to assist Kyle on, I believe, day-to-day meetings, and he'll assist Eric Sorensen on the defensive side. But I honestly, I have more faith and more belief in Eric Sorensen's ability to analyze and to build a defense than I do in Brandon Staley, because Sorensen has 21 years of actual NFL experience. He's been to Super Bowls, he's been to multiple NFC Championship games. He's seen what a winning culture is like. He's dealt with elite talent and been able to get the most out of the talent that he's had. And I'm honestly excited for Nick Sorensen. And I think Brandon Staley, as long as he is not the defensive coordinator and he is assisting, he is legitimately assisting Sorensen when it comes to some defensive play calling, getting all the information around. I think our defense next year is going to be great with these two guys. If Brandon Staley was the defensive coordinator, on the other hand, I would be worried, because as the head coach of the Chargers, the defense last year, they did not want to play for him. You didn't hear a lot of positive things coming from the Chargers, and essentially those players gave up. I believe the 49ers, the guys, because they've had Sorensen in that locker room for essentially 3 years now, going on to 4. or no, 2 years going on to 3 now, and the third year he's now the defensive coordinator. I think we're gonna see a great improvement on the 49ers defense. And guys, I'm excited. We gonna bang bang Niner gang. And especially with all the free agent talent, we also hired Mike Lombardi on the 49ers staff. Our coaching staff, it is cycling out. We have lost coaches, but we are bringing in good coaches, and I think Kyle is going to be able to elevate. You got to trust Kyle to get the most out of his coaches. A lot of the people from his coaching tree have gone on to get roles someplace else, and I think we're going to be fine from a coaching perspective next year. I would love it if we pick up one of the many running backs that are available in the free agency market to pair with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. That way we can have a three-headed monster between between Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and a third, maybe Saquon, maybe Derrick Henry, maybe Austin Eckler. Who knows? But if we have a three-headed monster in the backfield rather than the two that we have, who we know Christian did everything in his power to battle not having injuries this year. I don't know if he can sustain that next year. And Deebo, he's very injury prone because of his level of physicality. So if we can get another back, if we can get one more back in the backfield, I trust Kittle is still going to be good next year. I also trust Brandon Ayuk is going to be back next year. We're going to re-sign them, and we definitely need another defensive lineman, maybe another linebacker, because Dre Greenlaw is injury prone. I hate to say it, Dre Greenlaw is injury prone. He is great at what he does when he is on the field, but he is injury prone. And we are also coming up on the last couple years of Ambry and Diamador Lenoir's contract. So if Sammy Womack finally took a step forward, now would be the time to play him. If not, we got to start looking for cornerbacks in the draft, or to bring in to pair up with Chardavius Ward, Diamador Lenoir, specifically in the nickel cornerback position. I think Ambry is great, but I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts. I'm so excited that we have Nick Sorensen as our defensive coordinator after doing my research and finding out more about him. Guys, you're watching a Shady Mob production. Make sure to follow the Shady Mob podcast, where we break down all the latest content and talk about life. Please make sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified when the latest content drops. Time for Empowering with Positivity. Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, recently passed away on March 1st. He is not only known for Dragon Ball, but also for influencing a lot of modern-day manga and anime. His work influenced the minds of children all over the world for decades, creating a hero that not only showed us what honor and humility were, but that out of defeat and the mistakes one can make, you can overcome adversity. As a fan who has watched the Dragon Ball series in all of its entirety multiple times over, and whose mindset has been influenced so heavily by all of the shows created and movies, I would like to say, Toriyama-san, arigato, tengoku yasunde kudasai. And if Google didn't translate that properly, ladies and gentlemen, Toriyama-san, thank you. May you rest in heaven. Guys, thank you so much for watching the latest episode of N1 from the End Zone. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with your friends, family, and partners. Make some money with my picks, listen to my sports takes, or just watch for some positivity. I appreciate you guys, and stay tuned, because the king is going to bring you more great content. I love you guys. Stay safe.